The first night in prison is the longest night of your life. Not because someone is screaming, not because of fighting, but because everything you thought you knew about life stops working. The doors close, the noise fades, and suddenly you understand something very important. Prison is not about being strong. It is about learning fast. Every inmate who survives prison learns the same lesson early. If you don't understand the rules will teach you the hard way. This is Prison Survival 101. Not how to be tough, not how to be dangerous, but how to stay calm, stay smart, and make it out with your mind intact. The first 72 hours. Learning to see without looking. The first 72 hours in prison decide everything. This is the time when most mistakes happen. Not because people are bad, but because they don't understand where they are yet. When someone first arrives, they think prison is loud and chaotic. But real prison life is quiet in a dangerous way. People are watching, not staring, not pointing, just noticing. They notice how you walk. They notice how you talk. They notice if you complain too much. They notice if you act scared or act fake tough. In prison, everything is information. The first thing every inmate learns fast is this: you don't rush. You don't talk too much. You don't try to stand out. New inmates often think they need to explain themselves. They talk about their case. They talk about their past. They talk about what they used to have on the outside. This is a mistake. In prison, words travel faster than people. Something said in one room can be repeated in another room before you even sit down. So the smart move is silence. Not rude silence. Not scared silence. Just calm, respectful quiet. People respect someone who listens more than they talk. The second lesson comes fast. Prison has a schedule, and the schedule owns you. On the outside, you decide when to sleep, when to eat, when to move. In prison, the bell decides. You eat when it rings. You move when the door opens. You stop when you are told to stop. Fighting the routine only creates stress. The inmates who survive longest learn to flow with time instead of fighting it. They learn patience. The third lesson is about space. In prison, space is power. Where you sit, where you stand, where you place your things. Nothing is random. A seat at a table may already belong to someone, even if no one is sitting there. A phone may have an order, even if no one explains it. That's why new inmates are told something simple. Watch first. Move second. You don't jump into lines. You don't grab open seats. You don't touch anything that isn't clearly yours. People don't get angry because of accidents. They get angry because of disrespect. And disrespect in prison often starts with small things. The fourth lesson is about emotion. Prison tests your feelings before it tests your body. Fear, anger, shame, loneliness. They hit hard in the first few days. The inmates who survive learn to control their face. Not because they are. Respect is currency. How prison decides your value. After the first few days, something becomes clear. Prison is not random. It runs on rules that are not written down. And the most important rule is respect. In prison, respect is not about being loud. It is not about acting tough. It is not about trying to scare people. Respect is about how you carry yourself when nobody is testing you yet. Every inmate learns this lesson fast. If you don't give respect, you don't receive safety. Respect starts with the smallest things. How you speak, how close you stand, how you respond when someone talks to you. In prison, tone matters more than words. You can say the right thing the wrong way and cause problems. You can say very little the right way and stay out of trouble. That is why most experienced inmates talk slowly. They don't rush their words. They don't interrupt. They don't explain themselves too much. Explaining too much looks like weakness. Arguing looks like disrespect. The smartest inmates answer simply, yes, no, all right, nothing extra. Another rule becomes clear in Chapter 2. Never touch what is not clearly yours. In prison, touching someone else's property is serious. A chair, a food tray, a phone, even a spot on the floor. On the outside, these things don't matter. On the inside, they do. Because property in prison is tied to respect. If you take something without asking, you are not just taking an object. You are sending a message. And prison always answers messages. This is why inmates watch before they move. They notice who sits where, who uses what, who speaks to whom. They learn the invisible lines. Crossing those lines by accident still counts. Another lesson comes quietly. Your reputation starts before you speak. People talk. Not loudly. Not openly. But stories move. If you complain too much, people notice. If you brag, people notice. If you panic, people notice. Most inmates don't get judged by their crime. They get judged by how they behave right now. How you act in line. How you act when waiting. How you act when something goes wrong. Small moments decide big outcomes. There is also a rule about eye contact. On the outside, eye contact is polite. In prison, it depends. Staring can be seen as a challenge. Looking away too fast can look like fear. So inmates learn balance. A quick look. A nod. Then eyes away. Just enough to show awareness. Not enough to invite trouble. Then comes one of the hardest lessons. You don't need to respond to everything. Someone may say something small. Something rude. Something unnecessary. New inmates think they must answer. But experienced inmates know better. Not every comment is a test. Not every moment needs a reaction. Sometimes silence is strength. Reacting emotionally gives power away. Staying calm keeps control. Prison respects self-control. Anger is easy. Control is rare. Another truth becomes clear. Respect is not given once. It is given every day. One good day does not protect you forever. One bad day can change everything. That is why consistency matters. The inmates who last are predictable. They don't switch moods fast. They don't act different every day. People know what to expect from them. And in prison, predictability feels safe. By the end of Chapter 2, the inmate understands something important. Prison is not judging who you were. It is judging who you are right now. Every step, every word, every choice. And respect is the language everyone understands. Mind over muscle. How prison really tests you. After respect is understood, Prison begins its real test, not of strength, not of courage, but of the mind. Most people think prison breaks bodies, but prison first tries to break thoughts. The days start to feel the same. The walls do not change. The routine repeats. Wake up, count, eat, wait, sleep. This repetition is not an accident. It is part of the system. Prison teaches you patience whether you want it or not. For many inmates, the hardest part is time. Time moves slowly in prison. Minutes feel like hours. Hours feel like days. There is nothing to rush toward. There is nothing to escape into. This is where the mind begins to struggle. Some inmates fight the boredom. They complain. They get angry. They blame everyone. But the inmates who survive learn something important. You cannot fight time. You must learn to live inside it. They create small routines. Making the bed the same way every morning. Walking the same path during movement. Sitting in the same quiet spot. These small habits give the mind structure. Without structure, the mind drifts. And drifting leads to trouble. Another mental test comes from isolation. Even when surrounded by people, prison can feel lonely. Trust is limited. Conversations stay short. Everyone protects themselves. This makes many inmates turn inward. Thoughts become louder when the world becomes quieter. Regret, fear, guilt. They come at night when the lights go down. The inmates who survive do not run from these thoughts. They face them slowly. They accept what they cannot change. They focus on what they can control. Breathing, posture, reaction. Control becomes comfort. Another challenge is pride. Prison hurts pride every day. Being told when to move, where to stand, when to speak. For some inmates, this feels unbearable. They react emotionally. They argue with staff. They challenge rules they cannot change. This only makes life harder. The inmates who last understand something simple. Pride feeds problems. Humility feeds peace. They follow instructions calmly. They save their energy. They choose their battles carefully. This does not make them weak. It makes them smart. Prison also tests the ability to stay hopeful. Hope in prison is quiet. It is not loud dreams or big promises. It is small goals. Getting through today without trouble. Getting through the week with a clear mind. Getting through the month with discipline. Hope becomes practical. It lives in books, in exercise, in learning something new. Many inmates discover reading for the first time. Others write letters. Some simply walk and think. These activities protect the mind. Without them, the days blur together. Another lesson becomes clear in Chapter 3. Anger is easy. Control is hard. Prison gives many reasons to be angry. Unfair moments. Disrespectful words. Long waits. But anger creates attention. And attention brings problems. The inmates who survive learn to pause. They count breaths. They slow their movements. They let moments pass. They understand that most situations do not require a reaction. Silence becomes a shield. Calm becomes strength. By now, the inmate understands something deeply personal. Prison cannot control thoughts unless you allow it. The body may be locked in, but the mind can still grow. This realization changes everything. The days are still hard. The walls are still there. But the inmate is no longer fighting reality. He is learning from it. And that mental shift is what separates those who survive prison from those who lose themselves inside it. Choosing who you become when no one is watching. By the time an inmate reaches this stage, prison no longer feels new. The shock is gone. The fear is quieter. The routine is familiar. Now the real choice begins. Prison slowly removes distractions. No phones. No fast movement. No escape from yourself. And when everything else is taken away, only character remains. Every day in prison offers a choice. Not a big choice. A small one. How you wake up. How you speak. How you react when something does not go your way. These choices seem small, but they add up. Some inmates choose to drift. They sleep too much. They stop caring. They let days blur together. Time passes, but nothing grows. Other inmates choose discipline. They wake up with purpose. They clean their space. They move with intention. They understand something important. Prison takes freedom, but it does not have to take direction. Discipline in prison is not loud. It is quiet. It looks like making your bed every morning, even when no one checks. It looks like exercising in a small space without motivation. It looks like reading the same book twice just to stay sharp. These actions are not impressive to others, but they build strength inside. Another challenge appears in Chapter 4. Influence. Prison is full of voices. Some are negative. Some are angry. Some are tired of trying. These voices invite you to give up. They say things like, "None of this matters." They say, "This place changes nothing." They say, "Just survive the day." But survival alone is not growth. The inmates who make it through prison with their minds intact learn to choose their influences carefully. They stand near calm people. They listen more than they speak. They avoid constant complaining. This does not mean isolation. It means protection. Energy spreads quickly in prison. Anger spreads. Hopelessness spreads. But so does discipline. Watching someone stay focused makes focus easier. Watching someone stay calm makes calm possible. Another lesson becomes clear. Who you spend time near shapes who you become. Prison also tests honesty. Not honesty with others. Honesty with yourself. Why you are here. What led you here? What patterns must change? Some inmates avoid these questions. They blame the system. They blame other people. They blame bad luck. Blame feels good for a moment, but it keeps growth locked away. The inmates who grow face the truth slowly, not with shame, not with anger, with responsibility. They admit mistakes. They accept consequences. They stop lying to themselves. This honesty is painful at first, but it brings peace later. Another quiet battle happens when no one is watching. The battle between comfort and effort. It is easier to lie down than to exercise. It is easier to complain than to plan. It is easier to wait than to work. Prison gives many chances to choose the easy path. The inmates who survive long-term choose effort instead. Not every day. Not perfectly. But consistently. They understand that effort today protects tomorrow. By now, the inmate realizes something powerful. Prison is always teaching. Even in silence. Even in boredom. Even in stillness. The question is not whether prison will change you. The question is how it will change you. And that answer depends on what you choose to do. Prison does not end when the lights turn off. It stays with you in silence, in memory, and in the choices you make when no one is watching. Some people leave prison harder. Some leave angry. And some leave broken. But a few leave different. Not because prison was easy. Not because they were lucky. But because they learned early that survival was never about fighting. It was about thinking. They learned when to speak and when to stay quiet. Who to stand near and who to walk away from. How to protect their mind when the walls tried to shrink it. Prison takes freedom. But it does not have to take dignity. It does not have to take discipline. And it does not have to take the future. Every day behind bars is a test. Not of strength, but of control. Not of anger, but of patience. Not of fear, but of awareness. And the truth is simple. The inmates who survive best are not the loudest. They are not the toughest. They are the ones who learn fast, listen carefully, and move with purpose. Because prison is watching. Other inmates are watching. And most importantly, you are watching yourself. In the end, prison will change you. That part is unavoidable. The only question is this. Will it turn you into someone you don't recognize? Or someone stronger than you were before? That choice begins the moment the door closes. And it continues every single day after.